What's all the gang? You already know we back with another video. Shit, today we about to react to the darkest scandal in NFL history, Paid to Kill. Shout out to Dark Side Sports for the video. You feel me? We appreciate it. I ain't gonna talk too much. Let's get right into it. Y'all know.
13-3 New Orleans Saints faced off against the Jim Harbaugh-led San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Divisional Round. The New Orleans Saints, coming off a shaky win against the Detroit Lions, overcoming a 4-point deficit at the half and winning their final 8 games of the regular season, they were determined to keep their forward momentum. And going head-to-head against the 49ers, a team that hasn't been to the playoffs in 9 years, led by the likes of Patrick Willis and Dante Whitner, this would no doubt be a gritty, hard-hitting battle of attrition. But a bomb was ticking, a dark secret that would soon come to light. Saints defensive coordinator Gregg Williams held a team meeting a night before the playoff game against the San Francisco 49ers and gave an impassioned speech to his defensive players. A speech filmmaker Sean Pamphilin managed to record in its entirety, a recording that contained the Saints' grim secret. Instructing his players to injure quarterback Alex Smith, running back Frank Gore, tight end Vernon Davis, Michael Crabtree, Kyle Williams, and running back Kendall Hunter. If completed, a large payday awaits. A team of bounty hunters who would go on to target some of the biggest names in football and become the subject of one of the largest scandals in NFL history. On January 15, 2009, the New Orleans Saints hired defensive coordinator Gregg Williams to help revive their lackluster defense, which ranked 23rd in the league. Sean Payton vehemently believed Williams was the missing piece that would surely bring them the Lombardi Trophy, a redemption year for New Orleans following Hurricane Katrina. Sean Payton was so impressed with Gregg Williams that Payton voluntarily took a $250,000 pay cut just to sign him. As an offensive coach, I have game planned against his defenses in the past, and I know the problems they create. He's an aggressive coach, but his units are always sound fundamentally. We have some pieces in place for him to work with, and I know he's excited to get started. Williams, previously with the Washington Redskins from the 2004 to 2007 season, his aggressive blitz-heavy defense consistently ranked within the top 10 in the NFL. He was also the head coach for the Buffalo Bills for 3 seasons from 2001 to 2003 and the defensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans from 1997 to 2000. Nicknamed the conductor of aggression, Williams' blitz-heavy schemes and hard-hitting no-mercy defense struck fear into opposing offenses. Williams was systematic and willing to give up any and everything to gain an edge on the field, specializing in taking players that may not have been the most athletic or talented and turn them into vicious and relentless defensive playmakers. Unfortunately, Williams' intense desire to win and gain an edge on the field often blurred the lines of morality, and questions began to arise at the start of the New Orleans Saints' playoff run in the NFC Divisional Round against the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals, led by the 38-year-old quarterback Kurt Warner. Warner had nearly 4,000 passing yards and 26 passing touchdowns on the season. Gregg Williams was always searching for a team's Achilles heel, and in this case, Kurt Warner's age was that heel. With the Saints having the likes of Jonathan Vilma, Roman Harper, and Darren Sharper, easily 3 of the hardest hitters in the league, Williams wanted to see just how much more life Warner had in him, and he would soon find out. In a team meeting the night before the game, Williams stated, "Warner should have been retired. We're going to end the career tomorrow of Kurt Warner." Warner was hit all night. Each shot was more vicious and violent than the last. In Warner's 12th season in the NFL, this may have been his most punishing game yet. The play that would cause some raised eyebrows and accusations of sinister intent occurred with 6 minutes left in the second quarter. Kurt Warner, under pressure, forces the ball into coverage and is intercepted by defensive end Will Smith. And as Smith returned the ball, defensive end Bobby McRae saw an opportunity and decided to take full advantage of it, delivering one of the most vicious hits of Warner's 12-year career, sending Warner several feet into the air. You see the disorientated Warner lying on the field as his horrified wife watches from the stands. Darren Sharper
You
would say that
fucked
was the
up,
game-changing play the defense was looking for.
bro.
Warner was briefly sent to the locker room and returned later that game. This would be the last game of Warner's career, with many theorizing that McCray's hit may have been the reason for it. Warner, realizing he could no longer take hits like that, may have been one of the prime reasons for his departure. The Saints defense dominated, winning the game 45-14. Concerns began to circulate around the league about Gregg Williams' dark intentions during the game, but again at this point, it was all speculation. But soon this speculation would become justified when the New Orleans Saints faced off against the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC Championship game. Williams facing another future Hall of Famer nearing the end of his career, this was another prime opportunity to showcase his aggressive defense to the world and test the 40-year-old Favre's Iron Man reputation. In a team meeting the night before the game, that old man should have retired when I was there. Is he retiring? That whole thing is over, tomorrow. We'll end the career tomorrow. We'll force him to retire. Favre threw for 4,200 yards and had 33 passing touchdowns that season, and showed no signs of slowing
They're
down.
not playing.
Little did he know that he was the next
That's
target in one of
crazy.
the largest scandals in NFL
They put a
history.
bag on your head,
Before
bro.
the game, Jonathan
In
Vilma,
a
Pro Bowl
sport,
middle
though.
linebacker for the
This
New
is
Orleans
real
Saints,
life. They
offered
crazy.
$10,000 to anyone that knocks
Why y'all
Brett
do
Favre
that to
out of the
people,
game.
though?
The adage, money
Why
motivates,
you
was
do
on
that?
full
That's
display.
crazy.
This would be one of the most punishing games of Brett Favre's life. Similar in many ways to Kurt Warner's experience in the divisional round. Williams blitzed what seemed like every other play, and even on
Yeah.
run plays, Favre
They
somehow ended
smashed.
up on the ground wincing in pain. With 4 minutes 27 seconds remaining in the first quarter, after handing off the ball on an end around to Percy Harvin, the Saints defensive end lowers his shoulder and lays Favre
They're gonna
out.
smack him
That
anyways.
defensive end was none other than Bobby McCray,
He's
the
so
same player who
fucked
delivered
up.
the blindside block on Kurt Warner.
Why?
McCray would soon earn the nickname Quarterback Killer. This was by far one of the worst beatings a quarterback has ever taken, and it wasn't over. With roughly 2
Quarterback
minutes left
killer.
in the second
That is
quarter,
crazy.
Brett Favre, under pressure, forces the ball into coverage, where it is intercepted by Jonathan Vilma. But as Favre lets go of the ball, you see Bobby McCray once again dive at Favre's ankles as Randy Yodeler tackles him down. McCray would be fined $20,000 for his illegal hits during the game. The Saints
They're
won the
an
game
example of
31-28
aggression
in
to win a
overtime.
game.
The storyline
Like,
portrayed to the
literally.
public
They're
was the
like
New Orleans
bullying these
Saints
niggas.
fighting
Like,
back
really,
from the
they
effects
bully
of
you to win a
Hurricane
game. It's
Katrina,
crazy.
make it to their first Super Bowl. But the real storyline was much, much darker. In 2 consecutive weeks, the Saints had taken blatant cheap shots on the opposing team's quarterback, shots that were no doubt intended to injure. But this storyline wouldn't hit the media for another 2 years. The Saints went on to win the Super Bowl, winning 39-17 against the Indianapolis Colts, bringing the first Lombardi Trophy to New Orleans. But the suspicions regarding Gregg Williams and his defense would not fade away, and in the 2009 postseason, an anonymous source contacted the NFL regarding this bounty program. But just how did this bounty program work? Let me give you the rundown. It would start with a large pool of money collected from players and coaches, and each week before games, bounties would be announced. The bounty system paid $1,500 for knocking players out of a game, and $1,000 for card-offs, when a player is helped off the field, $400 for hard hits, which they called whacks, and a $100 deduction for mental errors. Everything was systematically tracked. If the bounties were not collected, they would be put into next week's pool. So instead of $1,500 for knocking out a player, it would be $3,000 payout. According to an anonymous former Redskin player, Williams also paid premiums for kill shots, in which you knock the opposing team's star player out of the game. And this was just for the regular season. In the postseason, the payouts doubled and sometimes even tripled. The NFL's investigation into these allegations stalled until late 2011. The NFL interviewed players and coaches, all denying the existence of any bounty system, and the whistleblower later retracted their allegations. While it's safe to assume during Williams' tenure with the New Orleans Saints that bounties were placed before every game, we will be only covering the incidents that are confirmed or almost guaranteed a bounty was placed. The next notable confirmed bounty takes us to the 2010 wildcard game between the New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks. Although a bounty was placed on Hasselbeck for an undisclosed amount, the offensive line for the Seattle Seahawks did a great job protecting him for most of the night, absorbing only a handful of hits, with the only notable play being when Scott Channel shouldered Hasselback after the play, sending him to the turf. So this bounty was a failure. The next notable bounty entry was on Aaron Rodgers in Week 1 of the 2011 season. The bounty was said to be worth $5,000. One of the most aggressive plays of the game was Jonathan Casillas on a blitz, slamming Rodgers to the ground like a ragdoll. Casillas had two of the most violent hits on Rodgers for the night, but failed to do any real damage. As for Donald Driver, that's a different story. Coming across the middle, he gets laid out by Malcolm Jenkins. While Driver did stay in the game, Malcolm Jenkins made a quick $400.
It's easier to lay out wide
Next
receivers.
on the list is Jay
Because
Cutler,
you just catch them
quarterback
trying
from
to
the
catch the
Chicago
ball.
Bears.
I ain't got to
This one
focus
is
on
a
the
bit
ball. I'm
different
going to
as it
focus
is
on you
based on
catching it, and I'm going to
accusations
hit you the
from
moment
Chicago
you touch it.
Bears rather
You
than
know what I'm
hard
saying?
evidence.
And that's the
But
worst
there was
part
no
about it.
reason
It's
why
like,
Greg Williams would
bro,
exclude Jay
it's
Cutler
bad
from the
out here. I
Browns.
don't be
And
no
the
damn
amount
wide
of hits
receiver,
Jay
bro.
Cutler took
You be
this
scared to
game
catch the
makes you
ball
understand
across like
where
the
the
middle line. You know,
accusations of
everybody be
bounties are
scared
coming
because
from.
you know
Cutler
somebody
was
can be
sacked
coming
6 times and
do
hit
you wrong.
countless other times. There was
Break
also a claim that a Saints player kicked Cutler in the throat, causing him to lose his voice. While initially having trouble finding when and if this occurred, I eventually found the play in question. With 14 minutes left in the third quarter, you see Jay Cutler walking and touching his throat as he looks over at the sideline.
Bro,
Upon
they
closer examination,
crazy,
you see
bro.
when Cutler is tackled. He falls on the back of one of the defensive lineman's cleats, immediately grabbing his throat. While more than likely a bounty was enacted on Cutler, there's no way to say whether this was intentional or unintentional. You do see the lineman move his legs as he hits the ground to line up where Cutler is falling. Let me know what you think in the comments below. However, a bounty was collected, with Roman Harper knocking Earl Bennett out of the game
Nah, yeah,
with
he
a
coulda
vicious
did
hit
that
to
on
the
purpose.
chest. With
He
this
coulda.
game, I would say a
I'm not
couple of
saying he
thousand were collected, and with the Saints winning handedly, 30-13, in large part to their defense's aggressive play. The next notable entry was against Cam Newton in the 2011 season. While the
Ooh.
NFL could only confirm a bounty on Newton in Week 17, it's safe to assume a
They
bounty was
did
placed
Cam
when
like
they faced
that?
him in Week 5. So I'll include both here. Ironically, Week 5 was a much rougher week for Newton, taking more than his fair share of hard hits, some that could have resulted in severe injury. A great example occurred with 7 minutes and 28 seconds left in the third quarter. Williams sends an all-out blitz, sandwiching Cam Newton between
I
two
fuck with
Fulton
Cam heavy
defenders,
too.
with
I fuck
one
with his
hitting higher than
personality.
the
Like,
other,
he cool
making
cat.
his back contort
You know why they do
awkwardly
it
as
like
he
that?
hits
They
the
crazy.
turf. A roughing the passer penalty was immediately called.
That's what they
Jonathan
did on
Vilma
that
also
one
tested the validity of Cam's Superman reputation, nailing him on a
They
QB
did that to the
scramble
wide
as his helmet
receiver that I
burned
was
flies
talking
off
about. You know how
his
you
head.
crossed the
Vilma also
line
got a free
and they
shot
broke
on an
him. I
all-out
remember
blitz,
that.
slamming the 6'5" Cam Newton like nothing. But Greg Williams' time was running out, as more and more information from anonymous sources began to reach
He's
NFL
spanking.
officials. The NFL investigation
I don't
resumed,
like when
and
people
damning
aggressive on
evidence would soon
purpose.
be
Like, but
uncovered.
it's tackling right
According to
quick.
quarterback
Like, we
Josh
all got
Freeman,
families and
former
shit. Why you
QB
want to
for the Tampa
paralyze
Bay
it?
Buccaneers, coaches
Like,
always
everybody
warn
know
their
Inky
players to
Johnson.
protect their
Y'all
knees
remember
when
having
playing
Inky
against the
Johnson?
Saints,
It
especially
won't
near
not.
the
He did
sideline.
that. He said he tried to
Unfortunately,
smack
even with
spin,
this
bro. He
knowledge,
did
in the
that.
2010
It'd
season,
be shit like
Josh
that. Who
Freeman
want that?
received a cheap shot by safety Malcolm Jenkins directly to his knee as he was going out of bounds. Fortunately, Freeman was not hurt. This shows that while the NFL was unaware of what was going on, it was seemingly common knowledge among NFL teams. That's just how the Saints played defense. Many players claim bounties have always been a part of football. There's no better example of this than the famed Bounty Bowl. The Bounty Bowl was a game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys in 1989. But what would make this game so unique is the alleged bounties placed on Cowboys kicker Luis Zendejas and quarterback Troy Aikman. The $500 bounty on Aikman's head yielded quick results, as Aikman was constantly under fire, causing him to force in passes into tight coverage and taking sacks. There was nothing Aikman could do. The accusations of bounties being at play began after a play was called dead due to an encroachment penalty by the defense, but they didn't listen and slammed Aikman to the ground. Immediately, Aikman's offensive line rushed to his defense, and a scuffle ensued. Aikman took a beating and was benched in the fourth quarter, with only 54 passing yards and 3 interceptions. The most notorious play in the game involves kicker Luis Zendejas, who allegedly had a $200 bounty on his head. At the start of the season, Zendejas was the kicker for the Eagles, but was released after a series of missed kicks with the team. On the opening kickoff of the second half, Zendejas kicked off the ball. We then cut to him staggering and going to the wrong sideline. It's clear Zendejas has a severe concussion, is disorientated, and in excruciating pain. Zendejas received a massive cheap shot, which would cause coach Jimmy Johnson to accuse the Eagles of setting bounties on Troy Aikman and Luis Zendejas. It's true, bounties have been a part of the game for quite some time, and there are probably countless games where bounties have been set that we have no idea about. But what makes the Saints bounty scandal so unique? One league official put it brilliantly, stating, "The Saints took a ragtag concept and turned it into a car assembly line. They made it efficient and vicious, with bounty tentacles reaching the head coach and general manager. Methodical and calculated are words you see littered in every article regarding the Saints bounty scandal. Commission for hyper-aggression." Gregg Williams' ingenious scheme would soon come to light, and the Saints world would come crashing down. Williams' final game takes us back to the 2011 NFC Divisional between the New Orleans Saints and the San Francisco 49ers. Prior to the game, filmmaker Sean Pamphilin, director of ESPN 30 for 30, Run Ricky Run, and the United States of Football, managed to record Williams' entire meeting to his defensive
You already
players,
know the Orange Slides game and the chokehold.
audio ever recorded.
If y'all hear noise in the background, my girl got a lot of
in this
like
audio,
birds.
Williams announced bounties on running back
parrot
Frank
thingies.
Gore,
She got like
stating,
6 of them.
thing in the world to make sure we kill Frank Gore's head. We want him running sideways. We want his head sideways.
a bounty on Kendall Hunter, which he refers to as Little 32, stating,
Little 32, want to knock the fuck out of him. He has no idea what he's in for. When he's on the sideline, we got to turn that motherfucker over. Go get that motherfucker on the sideline.
Williams' reference to the sideline is the same thing Buccaneers coaches warn their players about. It is shown with the cheap shot to quarterback Josh Freeman's knee. This audio proves it was advocated. A bounty on wide receiver Kyle Williams, stating,
We hit fucking Smith right there. Remember me.
"Remember me" is what Williams called hits so hard that the player never forgets them.
I got the first one. I got the first one.
The first indication of monetary gain through these actions is shown here, which I thought strange since Kyle Williams wasn't much of a playmaker, but shows that no one was exempt from being targeted. A bounty is then announced on wide receiver Michael Crabtree.
We need to decide whether Crabtree wants to be a fake-ass prima donna or he wants to be a tough guy. We need to find that out. He becomes human. You fucking take out that outside ACL.
A common theme you see with Gregg Williams' bounty system is not just hitting players hard and hoping they get hurt, but they are calculated.
I'm sorry.
Players with injury history are targeted, players with concussions are headhunted, players with knee problems are hit low. A bounty on tight end Vernon Davis.
We need to decide
Yeah.
how many times we can bull rush and we can fucking put Vernon Davis's ankles over the pile.
A bounty on a quarterback Alex Smith.
Alex Smith in the preseason game, you guys fucking ambulanced that motherfucker, had eyes that big.
Williams then states, "Never apologize for the way we compete." Frank Gore, Kendall Hunter, Kyle Williams, Michael Crabtree, Alex Smith, and Vernon Davis were on the Saints hit list, and Williams would do anything in his power to make sure they never step on the field again. With Williams' bounties in place, the Saints were ready to compete, but the Saints were facing an equally hard-hitting defense, and they would soon make
Somebody
their
need to
presence
do
known.
Burrow wrong.
When Pierre Thomas
Like,
caught a
all the
dump-off
way.
ball
Put him in
and
the
was
trunk.
knocked out cold by
Yeah,
Dante
put him in the
Whitner,
trunk.
one
Oh,
of
I
our
did.
generation's hardest
What you
hitters,
talking about?
and fumbled the ball. Pierre
Y'all
Thomas did not
crazy, bro.
return. The Niners had struck first and put Williams on his heels. This would be an all-out slug match. Williams responded with a vicious hit to quarterback Alex Smith by Roman Harper. The Saints defense had taken the speech to heart. When Kyle Williams is falling to the ground, you see Jonathan Vilma fly in, aiming for his head, but narrowly misses. Kendall Hunter took a few rough hits, with one being a shot toward his leg as he was going out of
He's
bounds,
about
and
to
a shot
smash
to his head as he was swinging around the
seen it.
O-line. As
He
for
was about
Alex
to break
Smith,
it.
he was under constant duress through the entire game, and took the roughest hits out of the lot. This was perhaps one of the hardest hitting playoff games of our generation. However, The Saints could not
You see
keep
when
up
he
with the
dropped and
49ers
then everybody
offense
jumped
and
on him to
lost
break
32
whatever
to
was
36.
in the wrong.
This would be Greg Williams'
Yeah,
last game
crazy,
with
bro,
the New Orleans
crazy.
Saints. On March 2nd, 2012, the NFL announced that
glad they
after a
lost.
lengthy investigation, they had found evidence of a bounty system in the Saints organization from the 2009 to 2011 season, administered by defensive coordinator Greg Williams. This took the media by storm. As each hour passed, more and more information about the insidious bounty scandal was released. According to the NFL's report on the scandal, around 27 players were involved in the program. In a payout program that would pay for knockout hits, at one point the bounty pool reached $50,000 somewhere in the postseason. A memo was sent around the league detailing the bounty scandal. The NFL's investigation also found that bounties were placed on quarterback Brett Favre and Kurt Warner in the 2009 playoffs. Brett Favre, however, said he didn't care about the bounty, stating, "My feeling, and I mean this wholeheartedly, is that I really don't care. What bothers me is we didn't win the game." Warner also had similar feelings, stating, "To think that guys didn't think, hey, we love to knock Kurt out, or we would love to knock Brett Favre out, or Drew Brees, or whoever it might be. I think that's part of the game, and I think that's part of the mindset," Warner said. However, not all athletes responded to the news this well. All-Pro running back Adrian Peterson claimed that in the 2011 season, the Saints targeted his injured ankle deliberately and had to control his
When you
frustration
doing
and
low
anger
shots
during
like
the
hitting
game.
ankles and hitting
During
knees
the
and
NFL
hitting,
investigation,
it's not
Sean
no.
Payton also allegedly
I don't care what
attempted to
nobody
cover
said.
up the scheme. Evident in
nah.
emails he sent to Reggie Bush's former marketing agent, Mike Ornstein, a shady figure who consistently contributed to the bounty fund, putting up $5,000 to injure Rodgers in the season opener. At one point, Tom Benson, owner of the New Orleans Saints, was made aware of the bounty sister Greg Williams was employing, and ordered Mickey Loomis, general manager for the Saints, to put an end to it immediately, but he failed to do as he was told. Greg Williams, in a statement, expressed his regret in employing the bounty system, stating, "I want to express my sincere regret and apology to the NFL, Saints owner Tom Benson, and the New Orleans Saints fans for my participation in the Pay for
Taking to
Performance
jail for
program
life.
while I was with the Saints. It was a terrible mistake, and we knew it was wrong while we were doing it. Instead of getting caught up in it, I should have stopped it. I take full responsibility for my role. I am truly sorry. I have learned a hard lesson, and I guarantee that I will never participate in or allow this kind of activity to happen again." But this was not the first time Williams has dabbled with bounties, using them throughout his career. Former Redskins players, Bills, and Titans players have come forward, claiming that they had a similar system when they played for Greg Williams. Former NFL defensive back Matt Bowen, who played for Williams during his tenure on the Redskins, confirmed that bounties were heavily prevalent, stating, "Money came in for more than watching a guy leave the field. Bounties, cheap shots, whatever you want to call them, they're part of this game. It's an ugly tradition that was exposed Friday with Williams front and center from his time coaching the defense in New Orleans. But don't peg this on him alone. You'll find it in plenty of NFL cities." This proves that this was not an isolated event, but something Williams has employed throughout his career, undoubtedly causing countless injuries. But Bowen also suggests that Williams is not alone, and that it is actually quite common in the NFL, with some NFL players estimating that upwards to 40% of players participate in bounty systems. On April 5th, 2012, the bounty audio would be released, making the bounty scandal all too real. Roger
I'm good.
Goodell was
I don't even wanna
disgusted
play.
at what the NFL was
You know,
looking
I'd
to
be like
find,
that. Like,
and enacted
niggas
some
used
of
to
the
think
most
they want to
severe
play
punishments
football.
in
That's,
NFL
man, I'm
history.
good, bro.
Defensive
I don't
coordinator
wanna
Greg
get hurt.
Williams was suspended indefinitely
Fuck would I wanna
due
get
to his
hurt?
masterminding
Like, y'all
and
stupid.
implementation
Like,
of the
I do
bounty
UFC
system.
or something. I'm
Linebacker
volunteering to
Jonathan
hurt
Vilma
people for.
was suspended for
for
the
nothing.
entire
Who
2012
wants to get hurt
season
doing
due
that?
to his
I
leadership
just wanted
role
to
with
play
the
the
bounties,
game.
and Vilma putting
Y'all
up a
just doing too
$10,000
much.
bounty for Warner and for Favre's forced exit from the game during the 2009 playoffs. Head coach Sean Payton was suspended for the 2012 season for his knowledge of there being a bounty system in place and obstructing the NFL's investigation twice, in 2010 and in 2011, attempting to cover up the bounty system. And defensive end Anthony Hargrove was suspended for the first half of the season for obstructing NFL investigation. Mickey Loomis, general manager for the New Orleans Saints, was suspended for the first 8 games of the 2012 season. Defensive end Will Smith was banned for the first 4 games of the season. Linebacker Scott Fujita was banned for the first 3 games of the season for pledging a significant amount of money to the bounty fund during the 2009 playoffs. Assistant head coach Joe Vitt was suspended for the first 6 games of the season, but it didn't end there. The Saints were also fined $500,000
What does it matter?
and were forced to forfeit
It doesn't
the
matter.
2012 and
If it's
2013
for 3
second-round
games, 2
draft
games,
picks.
nigga, I'm coming
On
back
July
after that.
26th,
It's
Vilma
stupid to
and
me.
7 other witnesses,
Yo, either
Saints
you're done for the
players and
season, you're done for
faculty,
3 seasons,
tested
you're done
under
for 2
threat of
seasons. We're talking
perjury
about this
that
one game.
Commissioner
shit.
Roger Goodell
It's not gonna do nothing.
misconstrued
to me.
evidence,
What's
denying
wrong?
that there was ever a bounty system, but rather a system to award good
I'm gonna go
plays
bet on
and
this
punish
shit.
bad
I know
ones,
who winning.
stating that unnecessary
okay.
roughness calls resulted in a loss of around $200, so the bounty system would become counterintuitive. However, Vilma had little success in court, with the hopes of returning early from his suspension. On September 7th, all 4 players appealed their suspensions and were lifted, but later reinstated around the 5th week of the regular season. On March 30th, Payton and Vitt filed for an appeal, but to no avail, and would serve the entirety of their suspension. On December 11th, former league commissioner Paul Tagliabue overturned all 4 suspensions. Vilma, Smith, Fujita, and Hargrove were free to return. He explains the reason for his ruling, stating, "I affirm Commissioner Goodell's factual findings as to the 4 players. I conclude that Hargrove, Smith, and Vilma, but not Fujita, engaged in conduct detrimental to the integrity of and public confidence in the game of professional football. This entire case has been contaminated by the coaches and others in the Saints organization." Tagliabue is not denying the players' involvement, but rather pinning the blame on the coaches for allowing this to happen. But Vilma, steadfast that there was no bounty of any kind, continued to sue
I would
Goodell
too.
for defamation. Even
That's why
though
I'm saying they need to go to
Tagliabue
jail.
himself said that there was
You see how I'm talking
considerable
crazy and I
evidence that
like to
Vilma
go to
placed a
jail.
$10,000
You know,
bounty
'cause, like,
on Brett
yeah.
Favre in their NFC Championship matchup. This bounty scandal lifted the veil over so many viewers' eyes of what occurs in the NFL behind closed doors.
I mean, I think
When
it's
a
worse 'cause
serious
people
amount of
actually
money
got
is
hurt.
on the line,
Like,
and
people
even the
actually got
slightest
injured,
edge
bro.
can
Really
result
retired.
in
Like, bro,
millions
y'all need to
upon
go to jail for
millions
this
or more
shit.
dollars.
I don't wanna hear that.
Morality often
watch
gets
out.
blurred.
Watch out.
Do I believe Greg
Cause I'll
Williams
be
was
quick,
an evil
man. I'll be
individual
quick to say
or a
that
coach
about
that would do
somebody.
anything
But
to
no, I'm
win?
quick
That's
now.
really for you to decide. Greg Williams' line of
Yes.
thinking is no doubt Machiavellian, which reminds me of a passage in the
Oh.
book Prince written by Niccolo Machiavelli. Any man who tries to be good all the time is bound to come to ruin among the great number of people who are not good. This basically means that a man willing to do things that aren't necessarily good or moral when the situation demands it will always defeat the man who is constantly guided by morals. Whether it's an athlete that takes performance enhancers to gain an edge on the field, or a player that fills themselves with painkillers to play through an injury, the NFL harbors some dark secrets that are constantly hidden from the public. But eventually, the truth always shows itself. Greg Williams was reinstated by the NFL on February 7th, 2013, and has bounced around a couple of teams, most recently being the defensive coordinator for the New York Jets, and is currently a free agent.
Put your testicles in the sea gap.
I ain't gonna lie, folks are scandalous out here. Y'all know they scandalous out here for that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I feel like if they made it illegal to hit stick people, then, I mean, a lot of people would be like, oh, I don't like the game of football. But I'm not saying, but like, why you gotta hurt them though? Like, I can tackle you medium, I can tackle you. Like, we know there's a difference in the way that you tackle. You can tackle people hard, you can tackle them. So you can aim where you tackle people at. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I feel like that they should have, like, more of a leash on, like, that. You know what I'm saying? And also, not even just that. It's like, I feel like if you hit sticking people, everybody should just bully you. Everybody who's on that team, every time we come, we should just double smack you, triple. Anytime it's a bully. I just feel like that. If you want to bully, let's bully you. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, anybody who's a hard hitter, I feel like, yeah, when they're not looking and they're looking around at somebody else, let me smack him. You can't always watch your back. It's too many players. I'm just going to smack you. Yeah, let's keep doing this. Since you know what I'm saying? I don't know why football players don't have that mentality. If you done injured somebody, oh, yeah, all right then. All right, he won't be a hard hitter after this. You know what I'm saying? Like and that's how you should treat it. We're all grown men. I can hurt you like how you can hurt me. It's simple. The catching not looking. You can hurt anybody when they're looking for somebody else, or they're, oh yeah, watch this. He don't even see me, like what you do to everybody else, right? So I feel like that'll get rid of a lot of hard hitters. Just hit them with their own medicine, and then like, it's like, I mean, that's really all I gotta say about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, like, I'm passionate and shit about that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's ridiculous when we all just trying to get paid and go home. Like, why? Don't you want to, like, you know? But y'all leave y'all comments below and y'all let me know what y'all think about the video. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry I haven't ran and shit like that. But shit, y'all leave a like. I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe. Till next time.